Hello, everyone, and welcome to our latest Retail ThinkTank conversation. I'm Alicia Esposito, Director of Content and New Media for Retail Touchpoints, and we have a great chat lined up for you today with Yevgeni Tsirulnik, who is the VP of Portfolio and Innovation at Toshiba. Yevgeni, thank you so much for taking the time out to join me today.
Yeah, thank you, Alicia. Thanks for inviting me. I'm very excited to be here, and we'll be happy to share our thoughts as far as Toshiba.
Excellent. Yeah, and we have a lot to get into, largely around some of the overarching themes we've seen emerge over the last year. And I think the most notable are the facts that we've seen retailers pivot, adapt, and really reimagine their businesses a lot over the past year. A lot of times out of necessity, to keep businesses going. But obviously the goal for Retail ThinkTank is to consider and plan for the future. This may be a big question to kick things off with, but I guess the big question for you is, how do you believe the past year has influenced the way retail organizations, retail teams, I guess you could say, will be able to innovate and transform their businesses moving forward? Because again, we saw such rapid change. We saw, teams really adapt, pivot, change very rapidly. So I guess the question is this setting a new benchmark for transformation in the future? Like, will we be able to move faster?
Well, it's a good question. The question we're asking ourselves and what we were preparing for probably for the last decade. It's happened in a matter of like couple of months. So, digital transformation as a subject or a buzzword was in everyone's mind and in every C-level type of priority topics for many, many years. But the reality is when something like COVID hit the market, majority of the retailers were not really ready for this. And that created a big kind of move on the market. People and companies were buying different solutions. Some of them were buying a sort of solutions that can address the COVID situation, but not necessarily doing the digital transformation or ready for that digital transformation. The market was expecting to have a very, I'll say, slow adoption of digital grocery, for example. And that was about the rate prior to COVID was about 3%, and then moving to 10% in 2019. In 2019 being at 3%, and then when the COVID hit, it's got us to 10%. 10% of all of the grocery transactions, or basically retail transactions, were happening in the digital manner. That actually changing everything, because the reality is you can be ready with semi-integrated systems, not necessarily all digitalized. When you're talking about isolation of about 3%, you not even necessarily have to make margins on this if you just want to introduce various new channels to the market. But when it comes to 10%, with the projections being 20% in 2025, your systems have to be completely different. Everything should change. You should be truly on the journey of transformation. So some retailers, big ones, were ready for this, the smaller ones not. And a good example to that will be delivery and basically the picking in the store or delivery of various products to the consumer house. Many companies were employing Instacart starting last year. Instacart was there for some time, but when the COVID hit and the Instacart became truly the only solution on the market that can provide the end-to-end, everyone went that direction. But that business with 3% of your market, of your revenue, is manageable, that solution. But when it comes to 10, it's not really. So again, you need to rethink your business models, and you need to rethink the tools that's supporting it. I
Yeah.
hope I answered your question.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense because I know one thing that's emerged in our conversations, whether it be with experts like yourself or actual practitioners, there was a lot of moving quickly to get the job done. Doing what you needed to do to keep the business running, whether it be, start to offer curbside, whether it be, expanding drive-through services, omni-channel fulfillment, right? Like you did what you had to do, but now I feel like we're in this moment of assessment and improvement. So to your point, you need the most effective infrastructure in place to support whatever you need to do to improve that experience. Am I getting that right? So like if that infrastructure isn't in place, they need to work on that now?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. If you remember the buzzwords on the market like omni-channel, and again, digital transformation and all of those things, the majority of the customers were implementing side or point solutions. It is part of the digital transformation, but the systems were not integrated enough. The systems were not driving through real retail platforms. If you look at Amazon, for example, Amazon natively developed a retail platform starting from e-com. They were ready because their system was built for this. Majority of the retailers were not. So the true digital transformation, or what I call digital transformation 2.0, will be focused on the technology of how to do it in the most efficient way so you can scale, you can maintain, and you can bring changes and new business models quick enough to adapt to the situations like COVID.
No, that's great. So tacking on to that point, obviously, there have been a lot of conversations around microservices, that the benefits of taking this approach, like how it supports agility, it supports the creation of new services and new experiences. Can you kind of dig into that value proposition, so to speak, and how that allows or could allow retailers to, embrace this digital transformation 2.0, as you say?
Yeah, so microservices is one of the biggest subjects. Luckily, Toshiba went into this far before the COVID, but that situation, the reality of the microservices, if you take the buzzword out, it's an ability to deploy self-maintained, self-sustainable containers or solutions into the specific environments without disturbing your existing systems, without disturbing your other business models and things like this. And most important, doing it very fast. So microservices is about a definition of the specific service that this component provides. For example, tax. There is a microservice that will provide an answer to all tax needs across all the systems. So it's a way to truly isolate a service, a technology, and a business all in one. Exactly the same we could use as an example pricing or orchestration of the receipt or returns or anything else within the system. So microservices is truly about support of the quick turnarounds, of the less risks, and ability to scale with pretty much no limitations.
Oh, that's fascinating. So how does that tie into what we're hearing so many retailers struggle with now, which is, of course, balancing and responding to new business dynamics, but also new consumer behaviors and expectations? Because I know that, because of this rapid shift in embracing digital and shift in behaviors, obviously store closures played a role too. Retailers' ability to use data, make more informed decisions, and respond effectively, like their processes got all off kilter, right? Because the historical data was no longer relevant or accurate in order to make those predictions. So I guess this is partly like data and analytics, partly the value of microservices, but like how is microservices supporting that rapid response or ability to better make these decisions in an efficient and effective way, not just for the business, I guess, but for your consumers as well?
Yeah. So talking about the data and history first, you're right. The perfect storm that happened in the last year basically completely ruined any statistics as far as the data. When do I shop? Why do I shop? What do I buy? Which stores do I go? Again, because of the behavior of the consumer that is changing, including where and what he is buying, online, offline, or in any other channel. So data basically being now built up from scratch. And microservices work, again, is about ability to adapt to these type of situations where you can really start repurposing collection of data or the way you collect the data and how much history you really need to start producing valuable insights out of this data. So consumer behavior changed completely. And it's changed in a way where consumer today is about give me the tools, but I want to shop in some privacy. I want to do it in a way where I decide where do I start, where do I finish, when it's being delivered, and things like this. You can use my data, but don't abuse my data, right? I mean, this is about the privacy. This is about the basically the experience that I'll get. The discussions around trailblazers, the generation, the young generation that are the only one that really digitalized today and socializing today, that's not true anymore. And again, in COVID obviously expedited that. Majority of the consumers today are very technology savvy and they want to use all of these technologies. So the world of the store, of the retail, will change with that. And that's the customer experience part. There is also an operational part. With the growth of the digital grocery and the fact that it's being deployed from the store, basically your shopping cart, you're being fulfilled from the store, it's now requiring a true real-time inventory because you're making an order, it's being fulfilled from the store. If your last item was picked up, now you start the substitute discussion, the item missing discussion, things like this. So real-time inventory became a very big factor of the success for retailers. Now, how do you build the real-time inventory? That's only happening through the data that you collect and convert into insights within that specific moment. It's only important at that moment, not in an hour, not in a day. So, for example, within Toshiba, with the Lera platform and our IoTs and sensors capabilities, we collect the data using cameras, we collect the data using the shelf sensors in order to immediately convert it into insights. Those insights could be the inventory data or on-the-shelf data. Those insights could be also the customer experience. You touching an item, you being able to get immediately some response on your phone, for example, saying, hey, this type of item, there is another item, you maybe want to look at this, or here's the recipes for this, or here are the ingredients for this. So the world of real-time data becoming very important. And the only way to reach that situation where you can truly technologically answer that, you need that platform, you need the ability to collect the data, convert the data immediately, so it's moving big data. And most important is having a edge computing. Edge computing meaning the data shouldn't travel to cloud in order to give you the immediate response. The compute should happen, must happen within that device that collected the data, at least the initial step of this. Again, back to microservices and connecting the dots to that, microservices is the way to truly deploy those new services that are addressing what I was just talking about.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I really like the point you brought up around IoT, because I know everyone's talking about now that stores are in some areas fully reopened, people are able to go out and about, especially if they're vaccinated. Those limitations aren't so much in place anymore. Everyone's thinking about the future of the store, right? Especially now that consumers have relied more on digital over the past year, or in some cases, people who have never relied on digital started to use it and are like, oh, hey, this is easy. I want to do that more. We're thinking about, okay, well, how is digital going to play a more integral role into that experience? So it seems like IoT is going to be a way to bridge that gap, obviously data being the driver of those experiences. But I think the fascinating point, or the fascinating takeaway for me, is IoT used to be a largely operational driven, tech. The benefits were largely around how to be more efficient on the back end, how to improve processes, maybe in some cases be more sustainable and like energy usage. But now it's becoming a driver of these better customer experiences. So is it safe to say that IoT is going to be a key, I don't want to say channel, because it's not necessarily a channel, but a key supporter of these next-gen omni-channel experiences? I mean, where is Toshiba kind of focusing on now that the stores are coming back into the fold, or I guess more so into the fold than, over the past year?
Very good question and observation. So IoT is, as a subject, it is what it is. It's Internet of Things, right? It's really network and the things, right? Yeah. So everything that is being connected between each other. And IoT not necessarily was a smart device. IoT was about just that connection. And if I can access that, I can get some data out of it, that's enough to call it IoT. And if you heard about the term Industry 4.0. Industry 4.0 was about IoTs. And like I said, it's about network and things. When you go and think about the next step in IoTs, the Industry 5.0, let's go this way right now, it's adding three important factors: the people, the data, and the process. So if you take these two things, that definition of IoTs, and you add those three things, it's really become Internet of Everything. That's the IoE, which you heard the term for probably, right? So the main idea in the next step for IoTs, or basically what Toshiba is working on right now, is to make that IoT smart in order to add other three important points. Like I said, people, data, and the process. Interconnection of those five things will make IoT become IoE, which is really, again, if you want to kind of visualize or put it in the simple way to understand, it will become a self-living device that making decisions, providing insights, and becoming much more than just data generated. Toshiba is working on the number of devices in this space. Majority of those devices is about sensing. So it's and sensing, as you hear that, it's about eyes, it's about ears, and it's about other senses. So we're developing sensors for shelf, we're developing sensors that are video sensors, we're developing various midpoint solutions or midpoint technologies that will connect those sensors together to produce that real-time true experience and information.
So then it essentially becomes an ongoing cycle of insight, right? Being able to generate all of that data, being able to act upon that data, and then being able to, whether it be optimize it or change it, adapt it based on what the data is telling you or what consumers are telling you with their behaviors and actions. So that's incredibly fascinating. It'll be exciting to see how that shakes out.
That is absolutely correct. So if you look at this very simplified way, there are four main factors. You've got the platform itself, the commerce platform. You've got the microservices that is basically technologically delivering the services. You have the IoT, and you can say it's a touch point. It could be a device that customer touching, or it could be device just a system. And the third one is the data, and everything has to work together. The data, nothing will work if data is not scalable or cannot turn around fast enough. Nothing will work if it's not one source of data throughout the platform. And obviously, you're adding to that security and all sorts of privacies and sign-ons and things like this. We're becoming much more exposed, obviously, to the threats like cyber attacks, and those systems and those platforms must be built up natively to be protected from those things.
Oh, that's great, Yevgeny. So to that end, I mean, what is Toshiba, focusing on? Like, what trends are really rising to the top as like key opportunities for retailers? We talked a little bit about the Alera Commerce platform and the benefits. I mean, what are you prioritizing from your own efforts to innovate and support the retail community to, embrace these new opportunities and, strike that balance between personalizing the experience and still respecting the privacy and the security of consumers? I mean, I feel like there are so many small things like slowly working their way to the surface, but what's the top priority or an opportunity for Toshiba right now?
Yeah, so a very, let's call it the short-term one is to basically harden the technology that will digitalize the store from all aspects, from the three pillars I was talking to you about, right? Microservices, data platform, and the IoTs. That's our first step, because we believe that silo use cases, for example, frictionless store. Many companies are going to Amazon Go like stores, where how do I check out with no cashiers? How do I pick up an item and the system is registering it? We want to create, and we're actually successfully creating, a platform that will first cover that infrastructural part technologically. Then we believe that digitalization of the store from the customer experience perspective is really about giving him or the customer or the consumer the experience which is very similar to the e-commerce experience, but also giving you the feeling that you can touch the items, you can talk to the assistant, you can do various other things. So it's a true blend between the online and offline. Offline is not going away, but offline will transform. So we truly believe that how you shop in the store will change a lot, and that's where our focus is right now. Now, where the second phase or the horizon is going. So again, talking about the Industry 5.0 for a second, digitalization of the store, it's also creating sort of a digital twin of the store. And that digital twin of the store is basically about using what I said before, all of the data points, so I can truly look at the animated video in real time and see what is going on in the store from the perspective of every device, every customer, every item on the shelf, and everything else. The idea of creation of this digital twin of the store will get us to the point where we will be able to use what we see in the real time in the design of those stores. So it's becoming much different approach. You do not use the technology to test it, you use the technology to design it. And that is another thing. And then you add to this all of the, again, ability to shop with no cashiers, to see on your phone or on any other screen everything that is going on with your specific shopping. Being able to use augmented reality, virtual reality, and all of those type of things. With the technology that is coming in like 5G, the augmented reality truly will get into retail, in my view, as a common and pretty much main way to shop. So this is kind of the way we're looking at this. We also believe that the point of sale in the way it was done or developed or used before will not go away, but it will also transform into something very virtual. So you may not, retailers may not allow everyone to shop in the store and walk out from the store with with no control point. But your point where you really take the items from your shopping cart into your bags will be also virtualized. So no devices, everything done through cameras and through other IoTs that will help the process of registering items and checking you out. Beyond that, if you go outside of the store a little bit, the digital grocery part will continue evolving. And I also believe that many retailers that made decisions to outsource their digital grocery last year will have to rethink that and go back into how do I do it in the most efficient way. And Toshiba and my teams in particular are there to support that to happen. So.
Amazing. So many exciting things coming together, it seems, right, Yevgeni? Like we were talking about how all of these trends and all of these technologies build upon each other and support each other. And it's interesting to see things kind of come together into this, ecosystem or universe, I guess you could say, to support retailers and the customer experience. So thank you again so much for taking the time out to talk shop with me. So many exciting things coming down the pike for Toshiba, a lot of exciting work you're doing. So thank you so much for walking through it with me.
Thank you, Alicia. It was a really interesting discussion. Thank you.
And to all of you, thank you so much for joining us for this Retail Think Tank conversation. We hope it inspired some new ideas, sparked some follow-up conversations between you and your team. Be on the lookout for more supporting content around the latest tools and tech, whether it be AR, IoT, or the omni-channel experience. Our goal is to spark conversation and inspire new ideas and experiences. So if you have any feedback for us, we'd love to hear from you. But until then, stay tuned for some more great conversations like this one. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time.